Hi, I'm William Joy with WFAA, and we're continuing our weekly COVID-19 vaccine updates, getting people caught up to speed on everything that happened over the past week and everything that we're looking forward to this week. So first off, remember, if you have any questions about the COVID-19 vaccines, anything about them, make sure you put them in the comments and we'll try to address those in our talks next week. Just to give you a preview of what we're going to go over today, we'll start by talking about the numbers, where things stand with vaccinations. Then we'll go over some of the supply issues, appointment challenges people are having, some news we got today from state officials, and also talk about some changes that are going to be coming soon. So first off, when you're looking at the numbers, the actual vaccinations that we're doing, as a country, we're up to 1.45 million vaccinations a day over the past week. That's the average over the past week. That's good. It's certainly well above the 1 million a day mark that President Biden set as a goal, but most experts will tell you really need that to be closer to 1.7, 2 million a day for to stay on pace, stay on target with everything. In Texas, we've made a lot of good progress this week. Our average has gone up a lot. We've averaged 120,000 vaccinations a day over the past week. The good news with that is, again, we're making a lot of progress. The bad news with that is that we got about 500,000 first doses this past week. We're only expected to get around 400,000 first doses this upcoming week, so the week starting today, Monday. That will probably mean that at the very least we'll flatline, but maybe even dip down a little bit. So if you're wondering how we rank, we're 34th in the country if you look at vaccinations per person. That's first or second, just total vaccinations per person. Obviously, Texas has a lot more people than states like Alaska and West Virginia that rank very high on that. We're just below California if you're wondering how the other big states rank as well. At our current pace, even though we're picking up the steam here, to vaccinate 75% of Texas, which is the threshold that people use for herd immunity, right now it'll take us about a year to do that. The goal is to have that done by the end of summer, beginning of fall. So again, as I've mentioned several times, we need to just pick that up, which will happen as supply picks up. So some good news that we got today when it comes to vaccinations, that the Governor Abbott tweeted out that FEMA is working with Texas, just like they've worked with California recently, to set up new vaccination sites, 2 sites that they could do 5,000 to 6,000 vaccinations per day, operating 7 days a week. According to the governor's tweet, those might likely be in Houston and Dallas. Now, what we don't know is if that will be additional doses coming from the federal government or if that will cut into the allotment that the state is already getting. Because while that's obviously moving people through quickly and setting up these mass vaccination hubs that will move people through fast and will pull from not just Houston and not just Dallas, but all over the area, the question is, are we actually increasing supply? Because you can only do so many vaccinations. And as it stands now, we're running out of supply at the end of every week. Just like that mega site at the Texas Motor Speedway in Denton moved people through, but once you're out of doses, there's only so much you can do. That's really the focus right now for everybody, is how to increase supply. Now I want to talk about how to cancel appointments, because that's something we keep getting emails about. Is I signed up for a bunch of wait lists. I got an appointment with one place. How do I tell all these other people, that I've found an appointment? So when it comes to independent providers like a hospital or pharmacy, you'll want to work with them directly. But when we're talking about the counties, Dallas County doesn't have a way to cancel appointments yet. They're just saying, if you get an appointment notification from us, ignore it for now, and we'll take you off our system. In Tarrant County, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. You can email your name, ID number, address, date of birth to covidshot@tarrantcounty.com. It's covidshot@tarrantcounty.com. No spaces, periods, or underscores or anything. The second way is simply hit the cancel button the day that you actually get your appointment notification. Then in Denton County, there's a couple different ways you can go about it as well. They've been sending these weekly email updates, letting people know where they stand on the wait list. Just remove yourself from the wait list next time you get that email, or if you receive a scheduled appointment, make the notification. There's a button there to remove yourself from the wait list. Now I want to talk about some news we got from the state over the past week. So first off, there is priority within the priority, and I think a lot of people lose track of that. So 1A is these frontline healthcare workers, and 1B is 65 and up and people with medical conditions. But within that, Tarrant County, Dallas County, other areas are using vulnerability indexes, these prioritization scores. So for instance, somebody who's in their 60s with active cancer is going to be in line ahead of somebody maybe in their 40s with diabetes and who's overweight. So they're looking at all of those different factors to come up with who needs to be vaccinated first. Even the rate of spread in a certain area plays a factor as well. The state has been telling hub providers, the state has, to focus on people 75 and up before you get to the 65 and up people, and then we'll work our way down. At this point, the state says that they've probably vaccinated as a whole about a quarter of the people who are 65 and up in the state of Texas. So what's next? That would be 1C. What's important to remember is Texas hasn't been following the CDC guidance when it comes to who should be in these 1A, 1B, 1C groups. So we shouldn't just assume they're going to be following 1C in this next group, because we've actually already used some of the 1C people, the 65 and up, in the groups that we have already available, 1B. So it's likely that 1C, the way people have been talking, would include essential workers like teachers, for instance, but we don't know that for sure. And the state says, and I asked, that they have not finalized who's going to be in the 1C group yet. I do expect that it probably won't be too much longer before we get that information. But remember, we're doing 120,000 vaccinations a day. There's 8 million, there's millions of people in just 1B alone. Then you factor in 1A. So it's going to take us some time to work through everything. We did hit a nice milestone this week, so I'll finish off on that. We have now vaccinated more people with just first doses alone than have caught, or at least confirmed to have caught, COVID so far in the state of Texas. So that's some good, hopeful news we can look forward to. Again, the real takeaway here is that we just need to increase supply. We have these hubs, we're all set up, but without the supply, we're not going to be able to vaccinate on par with everything. The federal government says they're looking at everything they can to do that. Maybe even other manufacturers, pharmaceutical companies can help pitch in, but none of that stuff has been finalized just yet. Remember, if you have any other questions, please put those in the comments and we'll try to get to those next week. Thanks.